FarmRite is located embedded within the Summit desktop platform. So if you open up Summit to the home view, you'll notice up here on the home page that there's a FarmRite icon. If you go to that and click the option to place new orders, everything will synchronize up. And once the synchronization is done, you'll get this screen. In this screen, you'll select the season for what you're going to be placing the rec orders for. If you're doing this for fertility recommendations, when those are set up with ProAgrica, those can be set with a look back to back to 1918, 17, or as far back as you want it to go. So that is a business decision made with you and our FarmRite team whenever this is set up for your agronomic equations or the agronomic recommendation equation testing. You give this an order name, such as like if you're doing it by a set of fields for a grower, give it a name that defines that order for what you can recognize it as. Otherwise, it's just going to be a 6-digit code that won't mean anything to you. So in this case, I'm going to call this BA for Bob Anderson Fields. I open up down to Bob Anderson and I pick the field or the fields that I want to run this upon. And then I come over here, and again, you are not limited to one grower or one farm or two farms or two fields. You can pick as many growers, farms, and fields as you want here. One of the suggestions we would make to you is to place your recommendation orders through FarmRite by crop. So do your corn, all the inputs for the P and the K and everything else, and then at the end of it we'll place another rec order, come back in, and then do your soybeans, and you'll find it will save you a lot of time. Over here on the right side of the screen, you won't see FarmRite 2.0. What you'll see is your location underneath your business hierarchy for invoicing through your location. But nonetheless, if I open this up and come down here to one of these particular sets of data, I'm going to pick this tri-state just as an example. And if I open tri-state and I want to run a tri-state lime, and I want to run the tri-state P and K, then anything that's tied to those recommendations are tied in the background to the agronomic logic. So I'll just hit the next option. This demonstration will be ran by placing the orders across the entire field, so I'm going to skip the management zones in this demonstration, but I will in a later video. I'll hit next, and now I'm going to get the recommendation task for my lime rec here. So this is the tri-state agronomic equation logic for lime, and I'll come in here and I'll set my crop, and I want corn for dry grain. And on the default products, you can set up your default products by utilizing this to save you time. If you leave this blank, all you're going to get back is 100% nutrient rec for lime in this case. But if I come up here and go to add default product, you get this window. And you can create a new one, and you would come in here and fill this out based upon whatever the information might be for the pick list name, whatever the product might be, the percent of that product, the units to be used to spread it, if you want an application charge. And if you do put an application charge, you can either calculate that $7 in this case by the field acres, by the zone within the field acres, or by the acres within that zone by the field acres. Then over here you would set your default minimum rate all the way up to your maximum rate. And if you had rates where they came through the equation and they went in and came through as zeros, you want zeros to be zero rates. The minimum that the controller can put out is 500 pounds. Then you could change the minimum to the minimum here, and it would be zeros would be zeros, 0.01 to 499.99 pounds would get 500 pounds. If you wanted everywhere on that field to be just a zero underneath that, then you could change that to a zero. But you would save that, and then that would set this in as what you see as an option. So now I would have my lime 75, and if I didn't know for sure which quarry that I'm going to pull the lime from when I actually get that lime, you could have different products set up in here, and that would give you the products by that listing. Now I can come down here because I have this first field filled out, and I can hit fill with first, and that'll populate the other fields in there, whether it's 2 or 200 more or 2,000 more, with the same set of inputs. This is why I'm saying place your rec orders by crop. you'll use our system in the most optimal manner for which it can work for you. Next option comes in with our PREC, and you'll notice that it carried over the same attributes of commonality, corn and dry grain, but our yield goal here, we're going to change on this field. We want this to be a 275 bushels per acre, and then Tri-State allows you to do a 2-year build in a 1-year application if you wanted that. But in this case, I'm just going to do for what I'm doing for this crop season currently. And again, they're on the products. I've built these products into the list. You could hit add default product. You could come through here and build your product in here, whatever that would be for the correct pick list name. Now, one of the things I didn't say earlier, but if you want to create an empty product recommendation to show to your growers that your P205 values are high enough, you don't need any DAP or any product, you might want to check that box right there. And that will at least ways give you back an empty recommendation for DAP that you could have in a map book to show to your growers. Once you would fill all that out, you would hit the Save button. In this case, I've already got these built, so I'll choose my DAP. And there again, if I'm maybe going to run low on DAP, I also maybe want to run a map recommendation because I don't know which one of those two I might end up using before the season's over with. Hit fill with first, and I'll populate my other 2 or 200 or 2,000 fields with the same set of information. And there again, you can come in here and change fields. So if you want to up the yield production here, as far as yield goal, you can do that if you needed to. I go next, and now I will go from the PREC to the KREC. And there again, same thing up here at the very top. I've already added in my potash and everything, so I'll just select my potash here. And I'll leave that at 275, fill with first, and that fills all my other fields with the same information. Hit my next button, and I get a confirmation page for my 2 field boundaries for what I'm placing the rec order upon, and I would hit place order here. If I had a different crop to do this off of, I would say, in this case, it asks if I want to print this order off, and you may or may not want to. I'm not going to for the demonstration. But the one I was talking about earlier, if you want to place another rec order by another crop, you would say yes and go in then and do your soybean inputs for the next recommendation order. I'll just say no here. Then you can come up here to this dashboard in the right top corner, and as this pulls up, if you hit the blue text that says Display Live Order Tracking, this will show you where you are on the server as far as getting these recommendations processed. Now, I was a little slow. It's already down to 2. If I hit the refresh button, it's down to 1. And until that zeroes out, there's nothing to synchronize back from the AgX account yet. If I hit refresh again, it says that sync ID 6804, my account, is not currently processing any orders. That means that it's completed. So I can come up here now and hit the sync button, synchronize those recommendation orders back to my account from the AgX account platform itself. Once the synchronization is completed, it will tell you 6 of 6 or whatever the numbers might be, and you can view the summary, and that's going to show you what your nutrient recs were as well as your product recs. Now you notice it didn't do anything for my pH or my lime because undoubtedly it didn't need any product for the pH or for the lime to one of those field levels. And as I go down to that particular field level, I'll have that information, and I'll show further videos in the future on what you can do with the actual data now to move forward as you're working with this data.